I'd like to welcome everybody to the Des Moines City Council meeting for August 11th, 2014. Prior to the start of our meeting, we're going to have a quick invocation by our own council member, Bob Mahaffey, and we'll ask those that will participate with us to stand at this time.
I'm going to have a short message from Meditations for Meetings, and if you'll join with me, I appreciate it. We thank you, Lord, for this gathering, for this opportunity to serve you. We ask your blessing upon this meeting and everyone here and the matters we are to discuss. May we act in wisdom, in love, and to your glory. Please guide us to make the decisions that will be beneficial to our city and to our residents. This we ask in your name. Amen.
Amen.
Can I read that every time?
All right, I'm going to ask clerk, please take roll at this time.
County.
Here.
Coleman.
Here.
Moore.
Here.
Gray.
Here.
Mahaffey.
Here.
Hensley.
Here.
Gatto.
Here.
We have a quorum.
All right. I'd like a motion approving the agenda as presented and/or as amended. And I'll quickly say that on the consent agenda, item 4B has been withdrawn. That's Open Sesame Cafe, that the inspections are incomplete. Item 16I is added. It's a recommendation of Councilmember Bill Gray to appoint Kimberly Bogus to the Park and Recreation Board, seat 7, for a 4-year term commencing June 30th of 14 to expire June 30th, 18, effective September 23rd of 2014. There's one extra item this evening, and that's Councilmember Coleman is going to appoint Carol Jones to Neighborhood Revitalization Board, seat 6, for a 3-year term commencing June 30 at 12 and to expire June 30 at 15. Having said that, those are the only changes or amendments. Anybody have anything else?
I'd like to speak on 25.
No, that would be on the consent.
I'll move the agenda.
Oh,
right.
sorry.
Seven yes.
Item 3 is approving the consent agenda tonight. Those are items 3 through 37. Item 4D, L, and Q, Councilmember Hensley wishes to speak. Item 6, Councilmember County and Moore vote no. Item 34, Councilmember Hensley wishes to speak. Are there any other items that anybody would like to pull for further clarification or discussion? Otherwise, the balance will be enacted as one roll call vote without a separate discussion. Anybody have anything? Again, items 3 through 37.
Bob has one. Mayor, I arrived too late, but I'm a no on 4U.
4U?
Yes.
Bob?
Yes, I'd like to speak on 25, if I could.
All right. All right, could we have a motion for the balance? Mr. Mahaffey, Mr. Moore?
7 yes.
All right. First items are 4, do you want to take those all at once,
Yep.
Christine?
Yep, that'd be fine.
All right, 4D, L, and Q. 4D, these are approvals of alcoholic beverage licenses. D is the Barcadium at 102 3rd Street. L is Jokers at 216 Court. And Q is Pines Pub Patio at 319 Court. Mrs. Hensley.
This is a continuation of the discussion we had 2 weeks ago, and I know Glenn Lyon's out in the audience. We continue to have issues with providing security down in Court Avenue with an agreement that has been made with the business establishments down there. And we didn't get their attention 2 weeks ago. Hopefully this will get their attention because we're now adding 2 other bars. We're not denying the license. We're not approving the license. They'll continue to be able to serve, but we need to get them to come to the table to work with the police and the downtown partnership to actually pay for the police services that are rendered that they have agreed to. So my motion is that we continue those 3 items, that we not approve those licenses, and that would be for D, L, and Q.
How long?
All right, is there anybody who would like to speak to those items? Hearing none?
Seven, yes.
All right, Mr. Coleman, on you just wanted to vote?
I was
no?
just a no vote.
Okay.
Did we register it that way?
Yep. All right, that takes us to item 25. Item 25 is items regarding M.L. King Jr. Park Neighborhood Revitalization Plan. Council Communication number 14-378. A is to receive and file the recommendation from the Planning and Zoning Commission. B is to receive and file the recommendation from the Neighborhood Revitalization Plan. C is a resolution adopting the Martin Luther King Jr. Park Neighborhood Revitalization Plan as an element, including the following revisions to the future land use designations. One is to amend the low-medium density residential to high-density residential for property located at 1731 Cleveland Avenue. That's the Logan Park Apartments. 2 is to amend the low-medium density residential to public, semi-public for the property located at 1740 East 17th Court. That's Joshua Christian Academy. 3 is to amend the low-medium density residential to park open space for Crowley Park property which is fronting Garfield Avenue between East 17th Court and Stewart Street. 4 is to amend the commercial auto-oriented small-scale strip development to public, semi-public for property located on the south side of Walker Street between East 14th Street and Johnson Court. 5 is to amend the public, semi-public to commercial, auto-oriented, small-scale strip development for property located on the north and south sides of Buchanan Street from East 14th Street to Johnson Court. And 6 is to amend the future land use designation on the north side of East University Avenue from East 15th Street to Easton Boulevard, from low-medium density residential to commercial, auto-oriented, small-scale strip development to a mixed-use and density residential. Mr. Mahaffey.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. This plan, as you can see from what the mayor has read, has been a very involved plan, and it's taken a long time to get to where we're at today. I want to thank staff, Amber specifically, who has helped lead this, and 2 of our leaders from the neighborhood, Odell Jenkins and Kurt Warner, are here tonight, and they spent a lot of time and effort in this, and it didn't happen overnight. It's been a number of years it took to get to where we are today. And also I want to mention Habitat, who has built about 20 homes in this neighborhood, who has been kind of a catalyst in addition to repairing a number of homes in the neighborhood, and has really helped improve the neighborhood there. So I just wanted to be able to address them and thank them for their efforts, and hopefully this will continue to go on, and we'll get it accomplished within a reasonable period of time. So thank you for your efforts, and I'll move item 25.
Amber's been busy.
She sure has.
Lots of plans.
7, yes.
All right, that takes us to item 34. It's an exception to the procurement ordinance competitive bidding requirements for good cause, authorizing Tree Des Moines to issue a request for proposals for tree inventory management plan and management software and approving a commitment of $100,000 for the procurement of such an inventory. Council Communication number 14-375. Councilmember Hensley.
I would like to, I had a long discussion with city manager and Laura on this particular item, and I think it was probably close to half hour, in fact. And I still have some questions, and I guess what I would just ask to do, it's my understanding that in talking with the city manager that there was some discussion about a time sensitivity to this because of Waterworks Park. I did a little bit more follow-up with that, and I think that we have a little bit of leeway on that. I would really like to ask that this come back and we have a full presentation to the council just to make sure that we understand exactly how this is going to work. And the reason I say that is because as we had the discussion with Larry and Laura, this is a little bit unique in how we're going about this process. Obviously, this whole procurement process is quite a bit different, and if you compare it to the beautification projects that we do with whether it's Beaverdale, Highland Park, 42nd Street, and the others that we've done, Ingersoll, we have memorandums of understanding and all those questions are addressed and really hammered out. So what I would just ask is that we have a workshop addressing this 2 weeks from today and then take final action on it at the meeting on the 25th.
Okay, anybody? Comments?
So my motion would be to move it and have workshop presentation with the appropriate parties and then have action on the 25th agenda.
So to continue the item?
Continue it until the workshop on the 25th with action at the evening of the 25th.
And I'll add to the comments. It was a good discussion, and it is a little bit different. The procurement process is being done so that our partners in this would do the bidding. I would note when you're reviewing this, we try to put the things that we normally have in the agreements in the roll call, and I reserved about 5 things. Those 5 things that are on the second page of it are how we conduct procurement. It's just that they're going to do it. It worked better for the way we were putting this together. But we tried to mimic, repeat the same things that we would do if this was our normal process. So we'll be glad to do that review. Actually, I think it'll be helpful for everyone because this is really a great opportunity for the city. We've got inventories of different things, streets, conditions, and this gives us an opportunity to know what we have and how we should budget, how we should work program. I will add a caution. You don't know what you get till you got it. It may tell us that we need to do less, change our focus, or change our focus to do more, and that'll be a separate budget consideration. So I think this would be good to have for a workshop so that everybody understands the opportunity this really brings to us.
Mayor,
Yes.
does anybody, CJ, do you have any idea what the timeline is for Waterworks?
CJ Stevens, 4900 Woodland Avenue, president of Tree Des Moines. Just to give you a little background on Tree Des Moines, the people on the board have been working to reforest this city and protect the tree canopy for almost 15 years now. Any more delay just creates less canopy that we have to work with. And to answer your direct question of the waterworks, there is quite a development going to happen there, and it was preferred by Bill Stowe that there be a tree inventory there before they proceeded with that, so that they know exactly what they're working with. And the other reason that we discussed that with him is because we thought this would be a good sampling for the city, because it is part of the park system and our city tree canopy. So the results from that would be available. Partial training for the City of Des Moines Forestry Department. We've been negotiating for that to happen during the Waterworks inventory. We are a long-term organization. We are in negotiations with Iowa State University and the DNR to form Des Moines Tree Stewards, And once the inventory is complete, we will be part of the reforesting project with volunteers here in the city.
Well, I guess my question is, how much will a 2-week time delay on this affect the inventory at Waterworks? Because my understanding is they want that done yet this fall.
They do want it done this fall, and one of the major reasons is because the tree canopy in this city is, a large amount of it is oak trees, historic old oak trees, which right now are showing the problems of oak wilt. And that can only be diagnosed this time of the year. And that is one of the most important things that they would like to know. They'd also like to know their ash inventory, which everybody knows that's going away. And so that's one of the reasons they wanted to get started now, so that the oak trees could be assessed properly.
Go ahead.
I just, I guess I'm wondering if you've been hired by Waterworks, you can't start the Waterworks project without.
No, we have not been hired by Waterworks. Waterworks wants to take advantage of the volume discount that the city would get from a contractor who will do the tree inventory. And that's significant.
I see.
For Waterworks, it was that economy of scales and great timing. And the timing does push it a little bit on this agenda, no doubt about it. We talked about that. But they're getting ready to do their improvements to the park.
Sure.
That you've seen, and they really need a good inventory to understand what they need to be aware of as they go into that part. So that's their,
How much is their portion of it?
about $30,000.
25 to 30 estimate. We really don't know how many trees are anywhere. So we're just estimating that their portion would be 25 to 30,000
Out of the 400?
out of the 400.
But I think this just underscores, I mean, because I had lots of questions, and I still have questions, and I did have a chance to follow up with a commissioner at the Waterworks Board, and, you know, they haven't started their fundraising for their park yet, so I understand, I think we'll still have enough time, even if we delay this by 2 weeks, and I think it's just a governance issue in making sure that we have a clear understanding of how it's going to work. I support the project, I have absolutely no problem, but I just want to make sure that all the details, and we have a clear understanding.
We've spent a lot of time on that with the manager's office and with staff and the attorneys, the city finance people, the IT people. We've spent a lot of time in meetings, and
But it's a completely different structure than what we typically use for
It's
projects.
different. That's why we're asking for the exception. There's
Yeah.
no doubt of that. We were comfortable with it from a staff side, or we wouldn't have put it on your agenda. But we also want to make sure that, you know, the whole council understands where we're trying to go and, you know, what happens, how does it get done? And I actually think it's great to have the discussion, because then we can all know what it takes to get a tree inventory done and what goes in it, so.
It would be great for me for you to educate me in a
Yeah.
workshop. to be honest.
I think this is
I
an
would-
opportunity to.
I would enjoy that.
okay, if that's what the council's preference
Well,
is.
I've got another question for you. I am a little concerned if we get in the middle of it, how long is it going to take you to initiate and get your contractor started on doing it, given this?
90 days
So it's going to take them 90 days to,
they've agreed that they could start within 60 to 90 days maximum. A lot of cities are requesting this right now. We're really coming in on the tail end. Other cities are ahead of us in this type of project. And so they could start within 60 to 90 days, depending on who the contractor, the bidding contractor is. And they agreed that if they were selected, two of them agreed if they were selected, they would come in and do Waterworks first and then wait till we finish our fundraising for the city portion of it, which, by the way, is going very well.
Mayor, in all honesty, they want to do it with leaf on, don't they?
Yes,
Well, 90 days gets you up to the end of November,
I know.
regardless.
Well, that's why we want
So-
to get started now with the Waterworks section.
But if it takes 90 days to
Oh,
get,
not for the Waterworks section. They could start that within 6 weeks after the bidding.
and
The
how
bid is
long will it
awarded,
take them to complete Waterworks?
30 to 45 days.
I think honestly, CJ, is still going to put them into that time frame that they can't use the leaves. You know, they're going to be in fall.
Yeah.
If it's that far down the road.
Well, we really don't know because the bidding hasn't went out and we haven't heard from all the proposal the RFP hasn't been sent out, waiting on the action here. So then we have to give them lead time to get it back to us. So then we have
So
lead time.
let me ask you this. If we were to okay it tonight, you could educate us on the process prior to you initiating the contract, is that correct?
Absolutely. And I believe that's in the agreement, that city staff is part of the selection of the contractor.
The
It is
city.
in the agreement, but there are some other things in the agreement too, such as the ongoing maintenance and additional costs that the city would be responsible for.
And some of that we won't know until we actually do the proposal process, and then we'll have more clear answers, because we don't know exactly what kind of database they're putting together, how they're going to manage it.
Will that be part of the process? They'll come back and tell us that stuff after you?
After we receive proposals back.
We would have that nailed down when we see their proposal, how they're.
Right, that is in the request, that they provide that information in the proposals.
Ms. Hensley, I'd be in favor of moving this item with the understanding we're going to come back the 23rd and go over the detail of it prior to actually, I would guess, signing the bid, and which staff is going to go over. Because I'm a little worried as having sat on the National Urban and Community Forestry Council and knowing what we may be facing here, the sooner we know, the better, I think. And since we're going to be able to look at it prior to you letting the bid go, and have this instruction that Joe has asked for, and Christine, I got to tell you, I'd be in favor of.
Can I, additional question though, from legal or city manager. Going through the RFP process and knowing we have to approve the final contract, correct? So it will be selected, I mean, even in addition to a workshop presentation, that contract will come back to the city council.
Laura Graham has been working on the details of how this will work, so I've invited her to come up and go through any of the questions that come up. We did anticipate this coming back to the council, but Laura, you want to go through kind of the structure of how we've tried to put this together?
Sure. Honorable Mayor, members of the City Council, Laura Graham, Assistant to the City Manager, and Chris, or Councilwoman Hensley, to answer your question. We do have a process in place where the award of contract would come back to council for approval. Prior to that, there would be no problem establishing a workshop outlining what the scope of those services would be, and then it would be back on the agenda for approval. Some of the commitments that are outlined in the roll call include making sure that the funds are fully raised by Tree Des Moines up to that 75% before we contribute our final 25% to the agreement. So that is in place, ready to go, and we would have no problems doing a workshop for you.
So we can have the workshop 2 weeks from today, even though if we approved it.
Oh, yeah.
We could do that. The piece I would have you consider would be whether or not you'd want to wait until before an award of a contract so you know which tree service you would be contracting with, and they would be able to have a little more detail in terms of the maintenance costs that you were asking about, the license agreement, and so on and so forth. Those are things we won't know until we have those responses to the RFP back.
And we could certainly do, 2 workshops, one immediately so you know the
Yes.
structure of how this is going to work, how the organization is set up, how they're going to conduct their fundraising and such. And then again, another one that gets into the details. Here's what the proposal that we think is the winning proposal is going to do and how it'll work, and get into the more specifics. We could do 2.
Absolutely.
I don't think we need 2 on it, but
We could do 3.
we have enough other topics.
No, it depends on if you want more of the detail that we'll know after the RFP is back versus the structure that we put into, this suggestion to you now. Either way, doesn't matter.
So if we approve this tonight, and then we have a workshop, and there come in questions that we don't have answers for, and we need additional time, where do we stand then?
We probably will not
contract been
have, we probably won't have gotten the contract back in an approved form yet, so we should be able to adjust. What we would not be able to adjust is the actual RFP, the questions we've asked. because that will be out. But
I
we
think I
can,
would still prefer that we have the workshop Monday, just to make sure that, so that we have a chance. Go ahead and
Early.
approve it tonight.
Yep.
But we have the
Let's do that.
workshop Monday, so that we can get additional information, or 2 weeks from Monday, additional information. Because as I said earlier, the governance of this is completely different than how we put together other programs. And I guess I'm a little bit sensitive to it, not I guess, I am, because of all the hoops that we've had to jump through for all the streetscape projects, where we have had very detailed memorandums of understanding outlining every single detail, who was doing what, when the money was coming in, and this is a lot more vague.
yeah. No, we'd be glad to do that.
So I will revise my motion then that we go ahead and approve it with the understanding we have the workshop, knowing that the final contract will come back to the council for approval.
And with a workshop covering the details.
Correct. Yes.
Trying to decide.
7 yes.
All right, that takes us to that closes out the consent agenda and takes us now to item 38, which is from Councilmember Skip Moore to give us an update on the council policy regarding naming of city facilities. Mr. Moore.
Well, I don't know if update's the correct term, but I would assume that all city council members received the letter from interim city manager, and it's a city council policy, and currently the policy reads that city streets, facilities, parklands, or parks facilities shall not be named or renamed in honor of any city employee until at least 2 years following the end of their term of employment with the city. However, we can by resolution waive the policy. And what I would like to do at this time is make a motion that we waive that policy and name the Municipal Service Center after Rick Clark, the former city manager.
Can I make a
Mr.
suggestion?
Attorney?
Just in terms of procedure, could I maybe ask that you direct staff to bring back a resolution
Sure.
on the 25th, waiving the policy and with that naming
Okay,
as opposed?
I'll rephrase my
Thank you.
motion that we refer this back to staff to put together a resolution and bring it back to us at a later meeting.
And we'll probably put some items for you to consider, reasoning for the waiver in this case, because you may still want to leave the policy in place, which is what I'm hearing, but with certain findings with your request, so we'll do that too.
And one other follow-up question then for city legal, will this then, once it's brought back to us and then the recommendation is made, will it have to go through the formal process then that we've established for naming of buildings, streets?
It depends on how council wants to proceed.
Okay.
If you waive just the one part of the policy but have everything else go through, certainly you can do that. If you waive the entire policy and actually do the naming at the next meeting, you can do that as well, because it is just a council policy. There's no statutory requirement to this effect. So.
I strongly support it, and I hope we have the language come back and move forward on the 25th. Two things I'd say. One, I've said before, and that's Rick deserves it and took great pride in the vision to create that. And I don't think it would have happened without Rick and his determination to make sure that it was funded and a priority and delivered to the council in a way that was easy to support it. But number two, it makes sense to me to waive it and not wait another 18 months or whatever it would be until, because we're paying for signage and letterhead and all kinds of stuff. And it seems really silly that if a majority of us are in favor of it, that we wouldn't do it now and save the taxpayers a lot of money before we, named it something different and then renamed it again.
Seven yes.
39 from Councilmember Skip Moore to discuss the city's support for recognized neighborhood associations.
I think as everybody up here understands, we've had an issue in the Fairgrounds neighborhood with a recognized group and a de-recognized group, and I'm hearing rumblings, this may be coming to us from another neighborhood within the city too, and I'm very concerned about it. When a group jumps through the hoops, they make their application, they have to be approved by 4 different boards, including this one, to be the recognized group. I think there should be some sort of priority status that goes with it. And what's bothering me is I continually hear, and I've actually heard from some staff, well, we only have time to go to one, so we're going to go to the de-recognized group this time, and we're going to alternate it and do that kind of stuff. I think that when a group is recognized, they should have the priority in that recognized neighborhood. And if staff only have time to go to one, that's the one they should go to, especially when it's a issue that affects the entire neighborhood. I think it's easy to tell the other group that we hear your concerns, and we'll see to it the recognized group has it on their agenda, and you'll be able to bring it forward there and discuss it. And the Fairgrounds Neighborhood Association, the recognized group, is here tonight, and I don't know if they want to say anything about it or not, but,
Mr. Mayor.
okay.
Just a quick comment. I couldn't agree with you more. I've obviously had meetings with Sharon and her husband, and I've heard the same grumblings, and it's a difficult position for all of us to be in because unfortunately, there's a de-recognized group, and I wasn't part of the problem when that happened. And there's a recognized group that I've been to their meetings, and I've joined them. It's just it's a shame that we can't all get on the same page and have a great, everybody get together for the Fairgrounds Neighborhood Association and be together. That's what I would like to see. That's what I've said to Sharon. That's what I've said to the other group. It doesn't seem like that gets anywhere, but I'm in support of supporting your neighborhood association. You are the neighborhood associations of the fairgrounds, and and I've spoken to you about that. I know there's some signage issues, but when the signs are made on private property and not funded by any city money and funded by the other ones, that's their sign. Obviously our resources should go to you, not to the other group. And that's, obviously if we're able to go to both of them and there's two big groups that have formed, I'm not saying that we should not ever go there, but they should be coming to your neighborhood association.
Anybody like to make some comments? All right.
Oh, yeah, she lives on 62nd or 63rd, and she's
Sure,
chair.
Fairground Neighborhood Association. What I would like to say is I'm really tired of explaining that we're the recognized group. The other group will write in letters. It's like, for example, Lotus Moments asked for the backing for the recognized group because they wanted to do something different at their venue. So we gave them a letter of support, but we heard that the other group had also written in and said they didn't support the business in the neighborhood. Well, then we later learned that the business wanted to have a nightclub in there, which they weren't forthcoming with us with that, so we took away our letter of support from them. But every time there's something going on in the neighborhood, they're doing something along with us. So it causes a lot of confusion, and I think they thrive on that. And it gets very frustrating. I mean, it's like all the time.
Sharon, one thing we can't do is stop them from being an organization. We can't stop
Right,
them from
right.
representing themselves that way. What I'm trying to do here is establish the priority for your group. I'll be referring this back to staff to come in with a recommendation. I understand their position that when the other group asks them to be there, we try and be there, but I think your group should have priority, and I think if it's a area-wide, if it's the fairgrounds area, neighborhood area, it should be brought to your group, put on your agenda, and everybody can meet. And I think this is the first step to bringing the two of them together.
Right. Because they don't participate with us at all. they actually.
And I've asked them to, they've invited me every month since I've been elected. I've went to every neighborhood, I have 15 of them, I've been to every single one, some of them twice. I am gonna go to theirs in September, because, to be honest with you, I'm tired of ever getting an email every single time, so I'm gonna go and hopefully let them know what we've decided here as a council.
Right.
And hopefully, maybe try to draw both of you together a little bit. That's what I'd like to see
Good
happen.
luck, because they've been fighting against this for years.
Mr. Coleman?
Joe, I appreciate that you're going to go. I support everything. I support the designated, recognized neighborhood, and I think that that is an important piece of our infrastructure. But as Skip said, we can't stop any other group, and I would hate to see any policy that said the city staff are not going to engage other groups. There's times where there's church groups or smaller neighborhood groups, and they have equal access to the city as anybody else does. When it comes to zoning and our communication and the formal things that we do, where we have policies that are directed towards neighborhood associations to make sure there's an official line of communication, I agree that we have to work with a recognized neighborhood. But I don't want the policy to come back that would in any way create confusion that our staff isn't here for all citizens, whether they're coming one at a time or 5 at a time or 30 at a time.
And I've said the same thing to Sharon too. I mean, they're not a recognized group, but they're a group of people that have gotten together that care about your neighborhood, that it's my job to hear what they have to say. Now, I would love to have them go to your neighborhood association and tell me that, but if I have to go somewhere else, obviously, if it was on the same day, I would go to yours. But it's my responsibility to represent everyone in my ward, and they are part of my ward. So I need to, I felt that it was a tough decision. I've been elected since March, and I haven't gone since September, so. And I've had conversations with Councilmember Moore too about it, and but I am going to go in September, and hopefully we'll see what happens.
I just want to ensure that, my understanding is in the past, staff has said, well, we're going to alternate. 1 month go to one and the next month go to the other. I think that's totally inappropriate. This is the group that represents the neighborhood, and staff should be attending their meetings. If they've got the time to attend a meeting, it should be theirs. If they got extra time, then go to the other meeting. But to cut their time in half so they can visit the other group, I don't think that's appropriate.
I think I've been there twice. You had one from Polk County, one member from Polk County there, myself, and then I don't think you had any police officers at either one of the meetings that I was.
Our officer comes like every month, but our city inspector doesn't come every month.
Yeah. So I've been to 2 of yours, and I haven't noticed any city staff there when I've been there.
So I don't know, is the city inspector supposed to come like every 3 months, or is it every month?
I'm not.
Here's the predicament we have. The neighborhood recognition program has been very successful, and so has the neighborhood-based service delivery been very successful. When the neighborhood-based service, which is the inspector units, was set up, the original thought was, okay, there'll be 2 or 3 neighborhoods. We'll go in and be a little more concentrated with services, and that's different than the recognition and just the planning side. But we would go in and do our thing, and there would be 2-3 years, and we're out going to another neighborhood. What we've chosen to do, because it really works very well, is keep that neighborhood-based service delivery in any neighborhood so we've multiplied it, and we've had to take both police and inspectors, and you're not just doing one neighborhood like we first set up, but you're doing many. So they fit it in as they can, and as well, we have an issue when they're at your meetings, that's time they earn off from their day-to-day work. So we manage it the best we can to have that contact that really works, but also make sure they're here during the day when we need them to do the other thing, carry out what you've told them to do. Right. So we've been working on that. I think the discussion is really good. It's a hard one. Mr. Moore and I have talked many times, and I understand exactly what he's saying and what you're saying. And then on the other side, even though there's another group and it's in the same area, they're still citizens. If they request information, we try to do our best to provide that. That's an obligation we have as staff. And it sounds like the council has gone to the different groups too when they come up. But the question is, and it's a good one, when there's a conflict, how do we handle that? And let us take a little time and wrestle with that a little bit, see if we can come up with something that is a little bit better for you.
Okay.
We've had zoning requests quite often that the neighborhood goes one direction, and some of the neighborhood doesn't agree with that direction. You know, we all don't agree all the time, and they'll form their own group, and that has happened. But usually it gets molded back into one group representing an area, which is much easier for everybody. Mr. Gatto's suggestion that if we could get it back into one group would really be great, and I think we'll look at maybe if there's something we can do to, you know, try to push that along with this discussion, because that's more efficient for everybody. And I think what's dangerous is, you know, the citizen that's not very active in either of them getting confused over who will represent a neighborhood interest when there's a zoning issue. Right now, it's the recognized group that we turn to, send the notice, and hear from. That doesn't mean other groups won't come to the hearing. So, you know, we'll try to sort that out the best we can and give the council some ideas.
Unfortunately, though, there's a problem when this group goes to a store and says, hey, I'm the neighborhood group, can you donate me something? Or goes to a restaurant or goes somewhere, can you donate me something? And they give the donation to the Fairgrounds Neighborhood Association that they think it is, and then Sharon goes and tries to get a donation for something, and then she gets nothing because they've already given it to someone. That's I think is a
That's a big one too.
that's a major problem for them. So I don't know how we can address that, but that's
And I'm
a
not
problem.
sure we can, because that's just
Yeah,
from
that
too many
can.
neighborhood associations, and the
Right.
business is getting hit from every angle.
Oh, I
That's
know.
a tough one, and I understand it, but the city has never policed the neighborhood organization movement. We've never said, you got to have these boundaries, or you got to have, we've said you got to have bylaws, you got to meet and be available, and report to us who your officers are. That's been it, and it's worked pretty good. But when we get in these organizational issues, that we'll try our best to help find something that works right.
There was one other issue that we required of them, and it's this case here, is that the former group was requiring dual membership,
Yes.
and they were told not to do that, and they told the city council, we don't care what you say, we're going to continue doing that.
That's right.
And they were de-recognized because of that.
That's absolutely right.
So we've been explaining them away since 2008. It hasn't changed for us.
I'm going to make a motion to refer this issue back to city staff to try and formulate a little different policy that hopefully we can vote on here at the council and live with.
We'll put something together for you to chew on and chew on the bigger problem, which is how do you get, you know, one neighborhood to represent one area? Because I think that's the biggest issue. And of course, is, you know, who do we choose to go to when, look at some of that prioritization.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Sharon.
I'll say that Sharon had a great neighborhood night out the other night, had clowns, had all kinds of stuff over there. It was a great gathering.
Over 200 people.
Yep, absolutely.
Some nice cars
Excellent.
and
Yep.
motorcycles.
Yeah.
So, thank you for doing that. One of the other things that presents itself to us as council members, often there's groups that come to us that are not necessarily recognized in one way or another. They could be, as was pointed out over here, it could be a church group. It could be folks interested in a singular issue. I mean, I've been to meetings recently where, would you stop by, we're going to have a few people over and we want to talk about an issue. Okay, I go, well, it's not a few people, it's 200. And so, you know, I'm glad I'm there because we have people that are concerned about an issue for the future of our city. And then you'll have Kiwanis, and then you'll have Rotary, and you'll have other stuff. They're not recognized by the city, but it's a whole group of people that work here, live here, many of them, and I will say not all of them I've discovered. But nevertheless, they want to hear and talk to the city about certain concerns. So, you know, when there's a lot of folks there, and are concerned folks about an issue or a variety of issues, often we, especially as elected officials, will go. But when it comes to the services and planning that are laid out by our planning department and our community development department and city manager's office, you're the recognized neighborhood.
That's right.
You're going to get the planning dollars, you're going to get the staff to do that kind of stuff. The other one is not. And might be that say, hey, we have a bunch of concerns, and it may be that an elected official like Joe's going to go and maybe say, why don't you come together with these other folks? And, but, you know, if it's a number of people together, we're going to probably on occasion go see what their issue is if they call us. And often I'll ask them, I say, you know, I was there recently, you really have something else? I mean, I've got 58 neighbors, I guess we're down to 56 now, that, you know, we need to see, and what else could we do? I mean, how could we resolve it? But I appreciate your bringing up the point, and let's see if we can't bring everybody together to be working together to the same ends and not against one another. Bob?
7 yes.
All right, it is after 5 o'clock. We're going to skip right now to the hearings. Started at 5:14. Start with item 42 on the Elm Grove Cemetery roadway improvements. Resolution approving the plan specifications, form of contract documents, engineer's estimate, and designation of the lowest responsible bidder as Grimes Asphalt and Paving Corporation, Kurt Rasmussen, President, $168,487.50. Council Communication Number 14-394A is approving the contract and the bond and permission to sublet. Is there anybody in the audience to speak on this item regarding the Elm Grove Cemetery roadway?
I'll move 42A.
All right, it's been moved. Any discussion? Hearing none.
7 yes.
All right, item 43, on 33rd Street and 24th Street sewer separation, resolution approving the plan specifications, form of contract documents, engineer's estimate, and designation of the lowest responsible bidder as the Underground Company, LTD. Dwayne Burkhart, President, $236,172. Council Communication Number 14-395A is the approving the contract and the bond and the permission to sublet. Is there anybody in the audience to speak on this item? Seeing none, could we have a motion? 30
43.
and 43A, okay.
Yep.
Christine?
7 yes.
Item 44, regarding the property at 727 Southeast 28th Street. Dennis Modi is the owner. A is amending the Des Moines 2020 Community Character Land Use Plan to revise the future land use designation from low-density residential to general industrial. B is hearing to rezone the property from R160, one-family low-density residential, to limited M2 light industrial to allow the expansion of the existing tree service contractor, equipment storage yard, and wood yard outdoor storage. C is the first consideration of the ordinance above, and D is the final consideration of the ordinance above. The waiver is requested by the applicant, requires 6 votes. Is there anybody here to discuss 44A, B, C, or D?
I'll move. I move all of them. Jeff, 44A, B, C, and D?
Yes, sir.
7 yes.
All right, let's note that the hearings end at 5:17. Let's now go back to item 40 from City Council Employees Subcommittee to discuss the city manager's search process. Mr. Coleman, do you want to give us an update?
Yeah, normally we do this during the morning workshop, but without a workshop, the committee decided to just give an update here. And I think that you've seen a communication from me that the committee wanted me to send as soon as we were done. It was clear when we were together that the consultant had had continuing discussions with people. The position was never not advertised, and as a result, we needed to kind of set an end plan, an end game for how we complete this phase of it. And so what we're doing is asking Mr. Wells, James Wells, to be a point of contact with the consultant and with any particular candidates that contact us directly. I think many of us were questioning the value from the consultant. We've paid him, I think, 2/3 of his fees, and it was James's recommendation that because he's continued to do work since we did those interviews in the middle of July, that he'd probably soon be demanding the rest of his pay. He is obligated without us paying any more to wrap up the search as long as we want his services, and so this phase would probably wrap that up unless we chose a different path. So the process continues. It is officially opened. I think Mr. Mercer and Mr. Wells would each say that they've talked to additional candidates since mid-July when we were together last talking about it. And we'll see at some point, Mr. Wells sent us a note today asking for some time, at which time we would review any, if any, applications that had been submitted, and we hope that that happens by mid-September, that we gather. And so we've kind of sent the signal that we need people to be submitting their materials so we can do a cursory background and come prepared when we meet to decide if it's a good time to interview anybody else, or if we'll continue to work with Mr. Hulls as our interim city manager.
Can I just add that I know James has quite a challenge trying to schedule all of us. You might want to use a doodle.
Yeah, I was going to say that.
That would just make it easier, so you can give us some dates and we can all indicate on there whether or not we're available. It'll save you a lot of time, James.
He looks like he has no idea what you're talking about.
Diane will help you.
Chris, did we set a date that we were not going to receive any applicants after? I thought we talked by the end of August.
Yeah.
I'm not sure how, I mean, part of it is we referred it to Mr. Wells just to match up the normal operating business that the city goes through, so that we're not violating any, policies or procedures that we normally have. James, have we adjusted the announcement to set a specific end date for applications? And what is that date?
James,
Okay, yeah.
would you put it on record, please?
Mr. Mayor, member of the City Council, James Wells, Human Resources Director. To answer your question, yes, we have put on both our website and the Mercer Group's website that the application deadline is August 31st. Yes.
Excellent. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions of James while he's up here? Anybody? Okay, thanks.
I'll move to receive and file the comments and the headline, which is we've established a deadline.
7 yes.
Okay, communication report, item 41, a request from Irvin Kunkel to speak regarding an apartment enforcement security ordinance. Is Irvin here?
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Ladies and gentlemen of the council, Irvin Conkle, 1800 Watrous, City Council Ward 3. The apartment security enforcement ordinance is more based along the lines of a program of the crime-free multi-housing program that exists within the city. I'd sent outline of that to council members through the city clerk from an existing program in Houston, Texas. Basically what I would ask for overall is that the program goes from voluntary to a mandatory program. As I've noticed that I've gotten a lot of feedback from officers working on the beat, dealing with problems in general, ranging from theft to vandalism, things of that sort, even in my own apartment community, that program, when it's implemented and fully implemented, typically, that the results are pretty drastic in a positive manner.
Any questions?
I know that we have a lot of developers or landlords that implement the program, and I would agree that the results are very good. You're asking that it be made mandatory?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And Chief's going to come up here and talk to us about this.
Mr. Mayor, Mr. Manager, members of the council, Judy Bradshaw, Chief of Police. Just a little bit of history about the crime-free multi-housing. It is a voluntary program that we train the managers and the owners of multi-housing units and developments on how to properly screen for their tenants. That's part of it. We also talk through the eviction process when you do have a tenant that you believe is dealing in drugs or some sort of criminal activity. There's also a piece of it that we can come out and we talk about lighting and locks and windows and things that make sense logistically, for the infrastructure around if you have an apartment complex or a large homes, that's been converted into apartments. So we do use this as an educational process. I like the idea of potentially researching it. I don't know how practical it would be for our city, but I think it is worth exploring and seeing, is it practical? Does it make sense? How would we do it? Would it be for new development? How would that work for, existing kinds of apartment complexes and homes with multi-housing? So we have been talking about this I'm on a public safety committee that I co-chair with Gene Meyer. Yes, through Capital Crossroads. We had one meeting. Mr. Mayor, you and Ms. Hensley are part of that group. So we just began to talk about this among the business leaders and others within the public safety committee. So it's timely. I don't know, Mr. Conkle, so I've never talked to him, but I like his idea and I think it's worth, exploring.
What's the cost of? Is there a cost to train these?
No, we don't charge them, do we, Lieutenant? Okay.
However, there could be some cost if they have to change locks.
Yes.
Do some.
In order for them to get the certification, there might be some things that they're going to have to do, whether it's lighting or bolster the locks or fix these sorts of things with their, within their structures to get the required certification.
And there is a cost of manpower to do it, and it's worked very well for us.
Right.
But if it's something that's broader program, we'll need to look at how that works with everything else that's on their plates.
Yeah, with what makes sense.
Yeah.
Mayor, you want to hear from our lieutenant?
I'd love to have you sing a duet if you want.
I can't sing. You don't want to hear me sing.
Chief, I stand corrected as I'm thinking of, there is a fee, Larry Davey with Des Moines Police Department, there is a fee, but it's only to purchase the book because the manager's training is a 9-hour program, 8 to 9 hour program. The book we put together is a binder about this thick. All the research, all the material is what they pay for, and I think that's about $20 for the class. We also provide a lunch during that period of time because it's a 9-hour work straight through. So that $20 just offsets our expense for the manager's piece of it.
Okay.
You see good results? Because I know there's a lot of apartments in particularly my ward that I know that have went through that. And I hear good things about that.
We've had great success with several multi-housing complexes, and on an average, you're looking at 60 to 70% calls for service reduction at some of those high-risk apartment complexes.
That's a lot.
With that being said, I do have concern with it not being volunteer because how good is a program if they don't screen their tenants and do a lot of things that's required with the program?
You got to do it. Well, I think one of the questions that would have to be looked at by staff is if it becomes mandatory, then you got inspections, investigations, and enforcement, and we'd have to find out what that's going to cost us on the backside. I think it's a good idea, and I agree with the chief. I think we should take a look at this and see if we can do it.
Yeah.
Question, if they change managers, then do they have the opportunity for a second time to go through this training?
The manager's training travels with the manager, so if that manager leaves that apartment complex and goes with another company, they take that certification with them. It's up to the owners of that housing complex to retrain the new manager.
But that's available to them if they want it.
Excuse me?
It's available to them if they want it for the
Absolutely,
new
yes.
manager.
Yes.
Mr. Conkle, do you know whether or not your apartment complex managers have taken this course?
Mr. Mayor, as far as I know, they have not, but they have said that they have implemented some of the program's guidelines. As far as specifics, when I've asked them, they've told me directly we're not able to comment on specifics of parts of the program that we have implemented.
We're not able to, I'm sorry, what?
We're not able to comment on that. Basically, I'm just not being able to be made aware of what exactly are they doing to abate these certain problems that have been coming up.
Okay.
Well-
Chief, any comments as a follow-up?
No, just that, this program existed in the 70s and 80s, and for budgetary reasons, it was eliminated. We brought it back in 2008. Lieutenant Davey was one that helped to bring that back in and educate the landlords and the tenants. And I will say that at the chiefs' meetings, the West Des Moines chief and the Urbandale chief asked what Des Moines was doing differently, because they had seen an increase in their apartments and they were receiving more calls for service out there. They wanted to know what we'd done differently. So I know West Des Moines also started their program a couple years after we reinstituted ours.
All right. Any other questions? Christine?
I think that we need to explore it and look at it and see if it makes sense, if, there's a way that we can do it. I'm thinking, if you're talking about decreasing police activity 60-70% at those units that have it, that, there's some opportunity there for some savings that maybe we can tie into, but Chief doesn't like that, I can tell.
No, I do.
Yeah.
Not reducing officers, but the calls for service.
So I would refer it back to the appropriate city staff, city manager's office, and legal to look at how we might.
And maybe the police department.
And police department, sorry. How we could look at putting something together. And I know it would tie in nicely with the Public Safety Committee that's working through Capitol Crossroads.
Mr. Manager.
And just a quick comment, we already do certification of rentals for the physical, they have the windows in, they're not, have problems with our code. I'll include community development in that, because maybe there's a way the two can get meshed together, how we do the rental certificates.
Okay. Sir, did you want to comment on this issue?
No, Mr. Mayor, I have a problem with the city. I'd like to resolve it, if I may, this evening by having a little bit of your time.
Well, I'd like to have you sit down because we're in the middle of a discussion on another
I
item.
understand, that's what I wanted to find out where I'm at. I didn't even know that you started at 4:30. I thought it was 5:30.
Okay, all right.
Thank you.
Anybody else? Any comments? All right. Mr. Coleman?
7 yes.
All right, Mr. Conkle, thank you for coming in. Appreciate it. Item 45, which is a cooperative agreement with the Iowa Department of Natural Resources to fund 50% of the Easter Lake Watershed Quality Improvement Project. Council Communication number 14-390. A is a professional service agreement with Snyder and Associates, Inc., for the design phase services for the Yater Creek Grade Control Improvement Phase 1 project, not to exceed $226,500. Council Communication number 14-397. Is there anybody here to speak to item 45 regarding the agreement around Easter Lake quality, water quality improvement?
I'll move 45A.
7 yes.
Item 46, review of the Zoning Board of Adjustment decision granting a variance from separation requirements to allow reconstruction of a gas station convenience store selling wine and beer on the property at 2428 Hubble. The roll call contains alternative motions. Choose A, B, or C. The Council Communication number 14-383. A is The city council remands the decision and order to the planning and zoning, to the zoning board of adjustment for further study. The effective date of the board's decision will be deferred for 30 days from the date of this remand. B is the city council takes no action to review the decision and order, and the decision of the board will become final on August 29th, or we could select C, which is the city council declines to remand the decision to the zoning board of adjustment, and the decision of the board becomes final as of this date. Anybody in the audience to speak regarding the reconstruction of the gas service station convenience store at 2428 Hubble? Seeing none, council, any thoughts?
Yes, seeing none, I have talked to the Eastern Place Methodist Church, they're a member of their board, and they approved 4-1 to allow this to go forward at the zoning board of adjustment. And if there's no other comments, I would move 46C. The store is going to be the same distance with the new store than the old store. However, our change in zoning requirements, and that is what brought this to zoning board of adjustment.
And they're not selling alcohol, it's wine and beer.
No.
I think it's important to point out that the neighborhood that it's in, the Accent neighborhood, voted to support this, and the one that's across the street, Fairmont, voted to support it also.
Right.
Seven yes.
47, the appointment of Dan Ritter as the interim finance director and confirmation of as interim city treasurer effective August 18th of 2014. Council communication number 14-402.
I'll support that and move it, unless
All right.
there's a comment.
Any comments? Anybody else?
This, in essence, is a 2-for-1 because we get more of Scott Sanders in the city manager's office as well, so.
Seven
There we go.
yes.
All right, we have one extra item. It's from Councilmember Chris Coleman to appoint Carol Jones to the Neighborhood Revitalization Board, seat 6, for a 3-year term commencing June 30 of 2012 to expire June 30, 2015. Any comments from anybody?
I'll move it.
Seven yes.
All right, we have a gentleman here that has asked if he could have a moment to speak. I'll have to have a motion from the floor or council member to allow him, and then if we do, we ought to decide how many minutes we will give him.
I'll make the motion, but I would limit it to 3.
Okay? Sir?
Which one?
You're on.
Mayor and council, my name is Stanley Struck. I live at 1423 East 9th Street. I've been here before about 3 years ago on an incident that happened 4 years ago. It was with the nuisance team, the nuisance of the city. They claimed my property was a nuisance. We had gone around and round, and they came in and they started destroying my property and did what they did. I came here, I talked to my councilman, and I talked to the mayor, and I asked to have this looked into, and I was assured it would be looked into, and I suppose they're still looking because I never got an answer back on that situation. And boom, they lost the case, but they didn't say they're sorry, they didn't pay for any damages, the case is dead. Here they started it again. They came into my yard and they took pictures. And with the pictures, they said, this is a nuisance property and we're going to clean it up. So I went to the man's office. According to the paper, he's supposed to be there till 4:30. He wasn't. I made a second trip. When I finally reached him, He said, I don't want to talk about it. Your yard is a nuisance. We're cleaning it, and you pay the price, and that's it. And he walks away. That is talking to the Daniel of the nuisance team. And they have padded the bill to the tune of $3,241.80. I watched them. They had brought a dumpster and slid it off the truck in front of my house, marking up the new pavement, and it was only a little bit larger than a 3/4 ton truck, pickup truck. They made trips, and each trip took 1 hour, and that 1 hour, there's the men sitting on their duffers doing nothing. I got a bill that it cost a lot more than that. I got the bill for the policeman who sat in his police car on the street because he seen that I could do no harm. And I not attempt anything. I just stayed in my house and I just watched as they done it. They went and they destroyed my place, but this one was different. They didn't just crunch up my privacy fence. They took it down. And they destroyed everything inside. And then they hung it up there, and it's still the way they put it up. And you'll see, it's such an unsightly thing. I hate to even, I'll take a picture of it and show, but they did more harm to my property than I could have done with storing a few items near my house because I can't do much walking. I have a letter here from the ombudsman. She said she took a ride around my property, and she saw it was a pretty neat property, well kept. I get along with my neighbors. But what's all that stuff behind that fence? Behind a privacy fence. This man had entered onto my property and took pictures. Now, she said they have the right from the Sputnik take pictures down and see the debris in my yard.
Okay, Stanley, what's your address again?
1423 East 9th Street. I've gone to every agency that you can name here in the city, and they all say, we can't help you. I even went to the governor's office, and I got a letter here from the staff member.
Cereal looks pretty close.
And she said she can't help me either. I went to ombudsman. I ended up getting Drake Law School representing me, and Professor O messed it up, and he gave me a letter, and I can show you the letter. He says, I'm sorry, it was my fault. I goofed. You can sue Drake if you want, because I messed up your case. I said, I don't want to sue Drake. I want justice.
Tell what that is.
These people are just writing hurt on me.
All right. Mr. Delfield?
Yeah, well, it's
Could you work with Stanley here for a minute, and we'll vote to receive and file his comments, and maybe help him, give him a little direction as to what we could do, and maybe we could get out and take a look at this situation.
years ago.
I know that we've heard it before, Stanley, but let's see what we can do. Obviously, the 7 of us here this evening are not as aware of the situation as you
I'll
are.
add you another problem with the police department.
Okay, well, that's why we're gonna give you to Mr. Delafield.
Okay?
He's not with the police department.
A security bouncer, female, heavyset, knocked me to the pavement. I pissed my pants. I went to court, and the judge found me guilty of public urination and defecation in the parking lot, and I wanted to appeal it.
Okay,
Wouldn't happen. I went looking for the money. They arrested me again on another problem
okay.
and locked me away in suicide watch for 10 days. When I went to an attorney, they says, you can't appeal that because 10 days only.
All right.
Not my fault, but I can't
Bill, could
appeal
you-
it.
Work, I think most of the problem is around the nuisance property work, and see what we can do to
I feel,
at least give him some
not that
directions.
it's far, but I feel a tag on my ear like the sheep. Get into the pen. When we want your wool, we'll bring you out, take your wool, and send you back. That's what this city is doing to me. Okay, I'll step out there with you.
All right, could we have a motion to receive and file Stanley's,
I didn't want to make noise with this here because it tags on the floor. So I have to just use it as a cane.
all right, we have a motion, do we not, to receive and file Mr. Stocks?
I move. Yeah.
Mr. Coleman?
7 yes.
All right, could we have a motion to adjourn as city council and to reconvene as the Board of Health? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? We now sit as the Board of Health. Item 1 is approving the legal department to proceed with the court action seeking authority to abate the public nuisance at the following location. A is 211 East 15th Street. It's a main structure. Is there anybody here to speak to this item at 211 East 15th? 12. I'm sorry, 1211 East 15th. Seeing none, could we have a motion?
Move.
Mr. Moore, thank you. Could we have a motion to adjourn, please? It's now been moved. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
We sit adjourned. Want to thank you all for attending.